One.
Invading the internet, covering Web 2.0, coast to coast, worldwide, and everywhere in between. This is where you put the social in social media. We are Social Blade.
We are Social Blade. And I am JD Rucker. And that's it, just JD Rucker.
And I am just Patrick Priest.
And I am just Aaron Ryan.
And I'm Victor Barrera.
And that was... we have Michael Vick joining us today. Those are the dogs in the background.
Wow. Nice.
That was wrong. All right.
So,
Do we have Urgo tonight?
Where is Urgo? I thought he's on screen with us. I see him. He's
I see him. I
right
just waiting for him to say
over-
something.
can no one hear
Where?
me? Did my mic
We
just
can-
die?
All right, now
We
you
can hear
are.
you now.
We can hear
Alright.
now.
Sorry about that. This is Jason Urgo. My mic just decided to die.
His mic is dead. And as we said, as Aaron said, I repeated, and we're all going to say in unison right now, 1, 2, 3. We are Social Blade. You guys failed. You missed it. I set it up perfectly.
I didn't know we were going to be tested.
I set it up perfectly. You guys,
I know
you guys
either.
failed badly. All right, let's try it again. 1, 2, 3. This is social. We are social. This. Damn it.
Basically,
Social Blade.
All right. Hey guys,
Yay.
how is everybody doing
that
tonight?
worked out so much better.
That did work out great. We have, guess what, a jam-packed show. I know I say that every week, but this time we have like 75 guests on the line with us. It's going to be an amazing show, and I'll explain that inside joke later. But right now we're going to jump right into the stories. The NHL has made the latest social media push. They're having a Twitter contest, and
Yes, they are. And they are going away from the NFL. They're doing a Twitter contest, and the hockey season begins actually tonight, I believe.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Thanks, Pat. What's happening is they're going to continue what they've done in the past, which is utilizing Twitter for NHL and cool, awesome contests like the one they're having now, this coming Saturday, actually. You have a chance to win free tickets using the hashtag NHL Pick 15. The contest is really, really simple. All you have to do is pick the winners of the 15 games that will be played on October 3rd, which is Saturday. Tweet them to @NHL, and then include the hashtag, which again is hashtag NHL Pick 15.
Damn it.
The tiebreaker, if there is a tie, is to guess all penalty minutes for all 30 teams that will acquire on Saturday. One person who gets all 15 teams right gets free tickets to any regular season game of their choice, which does not include the NHL Winter Classic, but still awesome. 10 others get NHL Game Center Live for a season. Expect to see more of this since Gary Vaynerchuk is involved.
Vanderchuk.
Vanner. Thank you, JD. Vannerchuk. Unlike the NHL, the NBA is following in the NFL policies towards social media, calling it minimally restricting any NBA officials from tweeting or using Facebook 90 minutes, like we reported before, prior to game or until after meeting with the media. The primary restriction of the policy is expected to prevent various team representatives from tweeting during games after the stir caused late last season with Detroit Pistons forward Charlie Villanueva. And correct me if I said that wrong.
no, you got it.
JD.
Nailed it.
Hey! Then with Milwaukee, tweeted from the Bucks locker room during halftime. And it doesn't stop there. It continues in college. Isn't that right, Patrick?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it happens everywhere. And we've talked about it happening in the NFL. And Twitter is now some news in the college football world. NCAA Division I school, Texas Tech coach Mike Leach has now banned Twitter for all the players. Who stepped on the cat? And it's as a result because of a Sunday meeting a day after the Red Raiders lost 29-28 to number 12 Houston. Several players were caught tweeting. One of them was the linebacker who made the comment, Wondering why I'm still in this meeting room when the head coach can't even be on time. Well, that didn't sit too well with the coach. And then another player, the offensive lineman Brandon Carter, who also has a Twitter page, said, "This is not how I saw our season." Well, they lost a tough game to the number 12 team, and for them to come out looking like that, it's kind of embarrassing. And I can see why the coach would do that. I mean, wouldn't you, Victor? If you're the coach, wouldn't you want to take it out?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's Twitter. It's really changing the way people are communicating. Athletes, coaches, officials are kind of acting now, because it's kind of a fresh medium. That Twitter has really changed the name of what it really means to be a professional athlete in terms of their conduct and behavior. But I totally agree with you, Pat. The coach definitely deserves that right.
I think so. And I mean, the only thing that I could think more that would be, I mean, like you're talking about with social media and Twitter and everything that's involved and all the tools. Where would we get some of the tools for social media, JD? Would be a good place to go.
I think the best place to go would be hothardware.com. Hot Hardware is
I
one of our
think so.
sponsors. An excellent place to go if you're looking for reviews, if you want to find the latest information about computer systems, gadgets, hardware. Hot Hardware has the inside track to the latest news, the best equipment, and the most up-to-date videos pertaining to anything from iPhones all the way down to SanDisk memory cards and Pioneers. They're also an excellent source for Digg, so if you're ever looking for a good submission, check out hothardware.com.
Well, thanks a lot with that, JD. The next thing I want to talk about was a new study that was published this week that it's
been muted, apparently.
Uh-oh.
If you're there, Urgo, we lost the audio, and you're back.
Alright, my headset is not working, so anyway, what I was trying to say was that there was a new study done this week, and it turns out that 80% of Twitter users are talking only about themselves. Basically, what this college professor at Rutgers did was he went through the public timeline and selected, he went through, I think, 125 or so thousand tweets and looked in there and narrowed it out so it was only personal tweets. Like he took out anything that was blatant companies tweeting, things like that. Narrowed it down to about 350 Twitterers from that, which I personally think is kind of a low number for their study. But regardless, of those 350 people that were studied from that group, 80% of the tweets turned out to be some type of information sharing about themselves. So, I don't know, is that what you do on Twitter? I personally don't do it myself, but that's, I guess, what the majority does.
Wait, who doesn't do it themselves?
Wait, who doesn't do it themselves?
I think that would be you.
We know JD does. But what I was supposed to say is I'm surprised on Twitter, but more so I thought it would be Facebook, since a lot of the times you see on Facebook, I just took my dog out in the rain and it's cold and I have a headache, that kind of stuff.
Well, I bet Facebook, if they studied it, you'd find similar. And I know when Twitter originally was created, at least, that was what they were promoting.
What are you doing?
What they were wanting people to do.
What are you doing?
Yeah, they're promoting. What are you doing?
Yeah. What am I doing? I'm on the can, huh? I'm doing a show. I'm eating something. But here's the thing. I think that if that's the case now, and if anybody wants to change it, then they're going to have to change it by going in and changing the fundamental purpose of Twitter. It almost would have to be kind of a mission statement kind of deal to where everything changes based upon a doctrine that's sent down from Twitter. That's not going to happen. It's still going to be about us. And guess what? We don't mind, because there are enough people on there that are looking at what people are tweeting and commenting on it. We're not talking to ourselves, we're talking to each other, and we're sparking up interesting conversations based upon what we are doing, where we are. There are those people that are going to be interested in what I'm doing or what you're doing or what somebody else is doing, and they're going to make a comment about it. I can tweet out, I am flying to Atlanta next Monday. Is anybody going to be around to to pick me up at the airport, and hopefully somebody will say, sure, if you take me out to lunch. And then that's how the connection is made. So I don't see any problem with it myself. Twitter doesn't see a problem with it because they have no problem with scooping up people. They just grabbed Digg's UX guy, what is UX, Victor?
So basically, the story is
User experience.
Yeah, so Mark Trammell, who is the user experience specialist for Digg, he's the one who really designs the interface, designs all the pretty little Ajax drop-down menus that we use on a daily basis to dig, to bury, to share, to comment, whatever. He's the guy who helps kind of make it happen in terms of designing the flow of the experience and the basic structure and foundation by which Digg is founded upon. From a visual perspective. And so the fact that Twitter went out and basically snatched him up from Digg really shows what Twitter's willing to do since they've received their new round of funding. I believe it was around $100 million that they've received, which came basically around a week and a half after their $1 billion valuation. So I'm sure they had no problem getting those funds through their investors and such. But yeah, I think it's a really good move on their part. I mean, if you look at the way Digg's developed from an interface perspective over the past year and a half, they've really kind of been leading the pack in terms of having a really pretty design, something that's really good, easy to get into, but at the same time there's a lot of depth to it. It gives both new and legacy users an easy way to go about their digging activity, and it's really streamlined. To the point where it feels very natural. Like if you've been on Digg for any amount of time, you probably spent a lot of time on the site, and they're trying to make that experience as painless as possible just to keep people on the site much longer. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good move. What do you think about it, JD?
Yeah, I think it's it's great that Twitter's making the move. I think a lot of it has to do also with Digg. Digg itself is they're dropping people, and it's not just a matter of losing users because they are in a growth cycle. They're getting more and more users, more and more visitors to the site. But it seems that based upon losses such as Daniel Burka recently, Joe Stump, and other losses that have been either forced by Digg or have happened without Digg's foreknowledge, things are happening. And does that have anything to do with the fact that, according to a recent survey, a recent study done by our illustrious, intelligent Urgo, that the Digg front page activity seems to have dropped dramatically?
Yeah, this actually came as a result of just me noticing that on the front page, it really looked like stories just weren't getting as many digs as they were a year ago or even a couple of months ago. So I did a little digging around, if you will, and used a site called ClickTech that had actually data on how many digs were actually done on each story, not just like the snapshot when the story gets published. But anyway, they have all these great graphs also, and you can very, very clearly see that both, or rather the total digs per month, the average digs per month, the average or total comments per month, and the average comments per month, all of those values have been on a constant downward trend for the past year. Just when you actually look at some numbers, there was about 5 million digs done on all front page stories last year, and this year, that was September of last year. August of this year, about 3 million. So, I mean, where do those 2 million digs go? It's a huge amount to miss there. And there's, many speculations of why there's so many less stories, or rather, so much activity on the site, so much less activity. It could be that people have all migrated over to Facebook and Twitter to talk about the news. They just go to Digg to look at the news. It could be the controversial bannings that happened a year ago when a whole lot of people were wiped out, which we'll talk a little more about that soon. But some people also, when we were talking about this earlier, thought it might be related to the election, that people were just on Digg last year to talk about the election. What do you guys think?
Well, Urgo, I've got a question. There was an article, which I'm sure you saw a couple weeks ago, I think, that talked about how Digg's crushing the competition. And that was just pointing to recent growth stats traffic-wise. Am I not mistaken? Or
Yeah, which actually the funny part about that, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the site Quantcast, but Digg actually used to be, I think it's quanticized or something like that is the term they have for being officially a part of Quantcast and having their code on their site.
Which is directly measured traffic, correct?
Right, exactly. Which, yeah, basically there's JavaScript on the page, and every time you go to the page, it sends back a message so they can get the exact count. And when I was preparing this article, I found that actually they don't have that anymore. Looking at the actual graph, I'm guessing probably sometime in the last month or so. I know I've looked at it recently, and they used to have it, but it's not there. Regardless, though, with what Quantcast is estimating, at least based off of U.S. views, the traffic did go up for a while, and then over the past several months, it's been on a downward spiral as well. Since about April, it's been going down. So that might be one of the reasons why they've taken that off the page also. I don't know.
Interesting.
Did you say April's when it started going down?
Yes, it was about April. Looking at the graph, it's the bottom graph on the page there that shows the podcast.
This is going to be a juicy discussion, but I would rather get some opinions from a couple more people, unless there's any other comments from the illustrious hosts.
Well, there have been comments actually on the Social Blade blog. You can go there after the show, socialblade.com/show if you want to read them all. But we have some. One in particular, Ryan Beal wrote, some interesting data provided here. I wonder if the controversial Digg bar pushed any Digg users away. As you know, the Digg bar takes a screenshot of Doug web pages, thereby keeping Digg users on their site and jacking up on site visitor statistics. A larger question at hand here would be, is this the beginning of the end for Digg? Thanks for the great stats at R. Beal.
Mr. Beal, I appreciate it. As far as before we go any further, this is all great data. I love it, and it does point to potential issues. But as far as any thoughts that Digg is dead or Digg is dying, I might be the lone man in the room that thinks that Digg is doing just fine, and they should be doing fine for a while.
Well, I think they're doing just fine in the sense that people are still using the site. It's just that they're not participating as much anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're still getting at least as much traffic as they were a year ago.
Right.
But it's really just that people aren't actually contributing to the community in the sense that, okay, there's a lot more stories that are submitted, but actually people taking the time and digging up stories has gone way down. That's what the whole point here is, and commenting on them.
Could it be that when did they, just a quick question, when did they start putting in the limitations to where you could only dig up to 200 stories in a day? I know that there were old users who approximately a year ago would have no problem digging 300, 400, 500 stories in a day. Could it be that the activity level isn't necessarily down, it's just fewer people, since we're stuck at 200 or 300 a day, maybe people are just digging less?
That's a very good point.
That's, I think, absolutely part of it. But that would, I mean, if it was that immediately that you could only dig 200 stories, that would show basically a drop that went down immediately.
Right.
Not a steady decline over the past year.
No, you're right.
I mean, that's probably one of the contributing factors.
Then it's Digg's fault, and it's because they're banning people. Aaron, what else do we have as far as comments? Oh, yeah, she said not to jump in real quick.
No, Aaron's here. We also have, let's see, Greg. There used to be a cross-section of issues on the front page on Digg. All I see recently is a left-slanted theme. It just seems like Digg lives in a bubble. Sometimes interesting, but nothing that makes me want to participate anymore. It's like they're not listening. The stats show it. That's from Greg.
Good point.
Greg,
Another one. It just is Greg. That's it.
There's
Gerald
only
Weber,
one Greg.
G-Man, who's here tonight. Clearly the problem is Digg has been banning the most active and loyal users that have made Digg the success it currently is. So of course the activity is down. It's not rocket science. Hee hee, smiley face. Nice one, Gerald.
Yeah, and there are some excellent comments. I definitely recommend people go to socialblade.com/show, look for the story, and read the story, read the rest of the comments, look at these amazing stats that Urgo is able to put together. And let's get some feedback from some people who were on Digg in the past. We have with us, and you will notice our normally boisterous and very active co-host Patrick was relatively silent. Today he is switching hats, turning his hat around and taking on the hat of the guest, because Patrick, as many know, is a banned Digg user. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing just fine.
Awesome.
I missed my Digg account, but I'm fine.
We also have with us a Digg user who was, before he was banned quite a while ago, he was the number 4 Digg user of all time. The fourth person to break 1,000. Oh, no, I think he was actually he was the fourth person to break 1,000 digs. And actually, you were the fifth, weren't you? We have Kareem on the line, better known as Supernova 17. And we also have someone who was very active for the last 3 months, was taking a tear and ripping through the front page with multiple front pages a day. And he recently found out that he was banned a couple of days ago, and that would be Mitch. Mitch is on the line with us as well. So we have 3 banned diggers, and they all feel scorned, and we're all going to get them riled up and take questions from the audience, as well as questions of our own. Kareem, how you doing? Excellent.
I'm doing well, thanks.
Yes, got him. And Mitch, how you doing?
Doing good. How is everybody tonight?
Yeah, we're doing great. Thanks for asking. We're doing great. Gentlemen, I'm just going to cut straight to it. When you first found out that you were banned, and you first tried to log into your Digg account, and you see that it says you are no longer available, blah, 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 whatever it says when you get banned, what went through your mind? Let's go ahead and start with Mitch, since you had the most recent activity.
There was no rope available, so I didn't go for a tree to hang myself. Mm-hmm. So I immediately used the Digg contact form as it instructed me, and received about 24 hours later what I believe is an automated reply. Regretfully, it's very vague. It says I was either being paid, artificially inflating numbers, or running multiple accounts, or potentially causing illegal actions on Digg. Nothing specific. I've heard from many people that's common. You just kind of get a stonewall, and you're gone.
But Mitch, what caused it? What caused the reaction?
I believe a lot of it might lead back to an article I wrote, just sort of notes on some of the berry effects you get on Digg. Nothing like a crazy berry brigade that's a bunch of ghosts running around, but just people getting mad will bury a user, or a group of friends will fight against them, try and keep them out of a topic. It causes kind of an overlaid rap on everybody that crushes the numbers and forces you to fight twice as high to pop.
Interesting. So I got a question, Mitch. I'm pretty familiar with, in terms of the process of getting banned, having been banned myself for a little over a day and actually getting reinstated. Usually when Digg sends you the initial email, they point out the exact point of the TOU, and in your case, it could be a number of things, and they're pretty vague about what exactly got you banned. Have they specified it all any further?
Posted it. I posted it all online, so if we needed the emails, they're easy to access.
Oh yeah, and that's cool, and I definitely heard a bit about what Digg said, but have they specified at all exactly what it is that got you banned? Like, they haven't gotten really specific yet?
Absolutely nothing.
That's what I don't get, is usually when you respond to Digg and you're like, hey, it could be any number of possibilities given the email you sent me, what exactly got me banned. They usually work with you in terms of letting you know exactly why you got banned. So for that, that's just pretty crappy on Digg's part. And the truth is that they've done this to not just you, but a number of other users as well, where they, the email that they send is just as vague as possible. and ultimately they just don't ever get a straight answer, is what my experience has told me. So, very sorry about you and your account. I think that you are definitely a valued member of the Digg community. Pretty new up on the scene, but at the same time, very willing to contribute genuinely to the community. And it's really too bad that Digg has done this to some of its best users, to the users that really have done a lot to contribute a lot towards the community. But yeah, that's pretty crappy.
I definitely agree. We'll get back to Mitch here as well in a second. Kareem, how long ago was it when Supernova 17 was banned?
I was just going through my email, and I was banned on, I believe, October 23rd of last year.
So that was you were
almost
banned
almost a year ago.
You were banned with a batch of people, weren't you? There was a few people that were getting getting banned around that time, if I recall. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Think back. I know it's been a while, but I mean, how did that make you feel?
I've been banned before. This was officially my third strike, if you will. The first one was when someone asked me to submit a story for them, and I had no idea that the person would later change the URL to make it a product page. It was a VoIP page. I think it was like jetnumbers.com or something like that. And that was my first ban. And I explained the situation to Digg. They were friendly about it. They helped me reinstate the account, and I told them I wouldn't do anything like that again. The second time I got banned was for bringing up the issue of berry brigades. My friend Derek wrote a story about it, and he submitted it, and it got buried. And then he asked me to submit it again, but I had no idea that he submitted it before. Because I was away for the weekend, so I decided to submit it again, and just 2 or 3 hours later, Digg removed me because Derek changed the URL of his blog post, and I didn't bother searching before because I trusted him. And the third time, I can read you the email they sent me. That was when I think they banned like top 50 people, top most 50 active people. And I sent them a response immediately because I was really upset. That was an account I worked for many years, 3+ years. So this is the response. Greetings from Digg.com. We have found activity from your account showing piece of bot script macro to Digg stories, which is explicitly against the terms of service. You agreed to. The account has been banned permanently and will not be reinstated. Because we must be vigilant in protecting against activities that compromise the Digg community, this decision is final and irreversible. Thank you, Digg support. By the way, I want to say hello to Digg people that are listening right now. And
they really like is final and irreversible, don't they? Seems to be a common thread here.
Yeah.
They always say that. And much like Mitch, I was angry. I wasn't going to do anything. I basically gave up. I didn't touch Digg. I didn't look at the website for probably 2 or 3 months. I was just done and over with it.
And then what happened?
Then, I think it was in January, I registered again. I had my IP address change. And I created a username. I had a good icon, I had a good username, a catchy username. And in the span of a month, I had 90 front page stories.
Jeez.
And
wow.
Yeah. Well, because I was impersonating someone else on Digg. Sort of a celebrity, if you will, and I guess people believe me. I created a specific Gmail account. I dug specific stories. I made certain comments. My location was of this person, and I guess it worked. And yeah, I had 2 or 3 front page stories every single day, and I built my network the same way. And the reason that username was banned was because what you guys were talking about, the itch trigger warning that you get if you dig over 200 stories in 24 hours.
Right.
And to stay active, to sustain the rate of hitting homepage 2 or 3 times a day, every single day, even on weekends, I had to be really active on Digg and engage in the community. And you do that by digging your friends, digging other people's submissions, staying visible. So once Digg made that rule, I was getting the warning, but I found a that basically put a dig button on anywhere on the website. It was a little dig bar. It was a grease monkey script for Firefox. So I would get a little flat dig button, and I think I was digging up to 400 or 500 stories a day. And at that point, I'd show up. I guess I showed up on the Dig's radar, and they just banned the username. Um, I sent them an email, and I never got a response. So
We'll. I want to get further information from you as well. Let's go ahead and get to Patrick. Get Patrick's thing up there.
All right.
Patrick?
Well, I started off as a Cracker Pat, and a lot of my friends, they got banned with the first wave of bannings. I want to say it was like October of 2008, if I'm correct. And basically what had happened was, all my friends were gone from using this script. And I was one of those people that used the script. Well, they said, well, don't use the scripts anymore. So I stopped. But I was greedy, and I didn't use it to dig anymore, but I used it to check what my friends were digging on mine. That's how I figured to do it. And it left a footprint back to the server on Digg, and I didn't know that. And I got the letter, and I said, oh, no, I didn't. I got the ban. And I said, oh, I didn't know about that. I didn't know you couldn't do that. And they said, sorry, this is irreversible. So I got on a plane, got my passport, and I flew to Newfoundland, and I started beating baby seals with clubs and punching mooses in the nutsack. And I didn't know Amanda and Aaron at the time, so I wasn't able to stop by and say hi. But I did go to a really nice Waffle House while I was there. And when I came back,
Whoa. Wait, hold on.
What?
Waffle House? Wait, what?
Yeah,
They have a Waffle House in Newfoundland.
yeah, really nice.
Whoa.
It's up to like southern.
Sure.
Yeah, trust me, I was there. It was good.
I think he's pulling your shovel.
No, it was much better than punching the moose in the nutsack. My buddy says, I'm tired of doing this. Can't we go get something to eat? And I'm like, yeah.
Come in.
Let's see who
Sorry about
scammers for the phone. All
Sorry.
right, so anyway, no problem. So anyway, I had gotten my son involved on Digg, and he wasn't doing anything with it. So it's not like I had to fill a pillowcase full of rolled up nickels and beat him with it to get his account. I just took it, and it was Brokeback Casket. And I started that. I got banned in like October, and I started that in November. And in 6 weeks, I had about 120. I can't remember exactly. It might not have been 6 weeks. It might have been more like 8. I had about 120 pops. And, well, when you grow that fast, you get noticed. And that was the bad thing. So it got noticed, and it got banned. And the second time, well, I knew I was going to get banned, and I wasn't too broke up about it. And I met some really cool people, and they helped me get back on. So I came back on as Genocide 312, and I came back December 25th, and I waited to come back. I wanted that to be the day, and that's the day I came back, and I was Digg's Christmas gift from me to them, and basically from then till the middle of June when I got banned the second time, I had over 400 pops, and just to task Kevin Rose, and they found out about me. It could have been when I wrote that tweet at Kevin Rose, eat my dust, ha. But and that's where I'm at now.
Excellent. One of the big topics.
Not really, JD. Not really.
No, what? Darn it! You're right. That's sad of me.
Bad use of that this time.
Excellently bad.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Terrible.
hey.
Dang it! It hurts really
miss
bad.
Cracker Pat.
I do. I
All
miss
those
Cracker
faceplant
Pat.
videos from Break. Oh
Those
man.
are awesome. Those are the best.
Good times. Good times.
Yes. One of the big topics that's been floating around in Digg back channels, back rooms, areas of ill repute has been the discussion of barrier brigades, and I noticed that in both, at least 2 out of the 3 guests had discussed barrier brigades as one of the potential reasons regarding their demise on Digg. What do you guys think? I mean, Mitch, what you've done some recent stuff about barrier brigades. What is your thought that you would like to share with the crowd? And let us know. Let it out. What do you got to lose?
Well, when you look at the barrier brigade, there's 2 different sides of the coin and ways to look at it. There's user, and then there's something bigger. Just as a user, all you have to do is fight them off. People can't bury you into oblivion if you keep digging. I stated that in a blog post. I was banned a week later. On a bigger scale, of course, when politics are big or big business hits Digg, there's going to be organized burying and manipulation. That's with any site. It's not a Digg-specific thing. But you always hear of the phantom barrier brigades, like it's some ghostly horde stalking users. I really don't put any solid ground into that, but any user can watch the pattern and see when they're getting attacked. If your numbers double for no reason and no change to your account, you can't pop a story or run up a hot board, there's a problem. And the only obvious answer is you're being buried.
So you're pretty convinced that there's a barrier brigade out on Digg in general?
Yes. It just makes perfect sense. If you think business-wise, if you were trying to be dirty on Digg, that'd be one way that someone would go about it. No one can come in and be a super cool power user. Very few of us come in and actually ever hit the page or submit just neat stuff. Maybe I was a freak. I really liked Time and Life magazine and Wired, so I submitted them like a madman.
And APOD.
Hey, I respect APOD. APOD is the
I
only
like
good
APOD.
news.
No, you're right. I think APOD's dope. They just need to update their site design, but other than that, it's cool.
Yeah, some CSS would go a long way.
Jason, how do you feel about APOD?
With things like that, you're going to get buried. There's APOD buried brigades in effect.
In the room.
People do it too much. It's ridiculous, so you're going to get buried.
My question is, why couldn't the barrier brigade just aim for XKCD? I mean, that's my question. So, barrier brigade, if you're listening to this, just aim for XKCD, and we'll be cool, man. It's all good.
Here's my question: Is it
Because it's the best cartoon ever?
Up on that, you do.
Is it really? Let me ask you this, guys, and this is kind of open for everybody. Is it a barrier brigade, or are there different barrier brigades, or is it just a matter of a bunch of people when they get a wild hair, they decide that they need to IM all their friends and get a particular user or a particular site buried? Kareem, what do you think about that?
I actually have a completely different theory.
Perfect.
I'll have to agree with you. I don't believe in the Berry Brigade per se, like one specific group of people, let's say 50 people that all they do on Digg is bury stories. I believe that the community cleans up itself. Someone submits really stupid post, like a lame video from YouTube, and the channel owner asks all his friends to dig it up, and let's say he gets 200 digs in 30 minutes. Of course, you'll have Digg users that will bury the story because the video is lame, or if some site is trying to sell you a product. That happens all the time.
No,
Somehow
we're not
it
talking
gets-
about a Berry Brigade against the stupid shit. We're talking like about a Berry Brigade against a certain user or certain people that use a certain site.
No, let me explain. Hold on.
Okay.
So let's see. I thought about this, and I think that Digg has moderators. They have people on their staff that rotate shifts 5 or 6 times a day, and their job, they're getting paid to basically sit and look through every single story that's shooting up the rankings in the hot story, in the upcoming section, the most list, and getting artificially dug. You can do it these days anytime you want. You can I can easily add like 150 digs in an hour if I wanted to in my IM list. So the person at Digg is looking at the story and sees if it's getting 100 digs in an hour, then something is wrong. Unless it's a breaking story about like Michael Jackson dying, let's say. That story was on front page in 17 minutes or less. Um, but I don't believe in one group of specific people going against certain websites. I mean, it could be the case for different communities that are out there. Like, what is that? The 9/11 conspiracy theories or the left-wing Michelle McCagan website. She gets buried all the time, or they lost. Instead of, let's say, Huffington Post, that's getting dug up by all the
I definitely, Kareem, I definitely think that there probably is some sort of interaction with Dig, by Dig rather, but
yeah.
I think that the majority of the posts there that you're referring to really are the community that it just doesn't fit with what the majority of the users are believing in. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, that's really what Dig is for, to be democratic and the majority wins. So I do think that Dig probably is filtering some stories that some things are being throttled. But I think, and I also do believe that there most likely are probably brigades, not just one, but several groups of people that very, in a coordinated effort. But
Well, how about we do
I,
an experiment right now? How about we find a story in the upcoming section right now?
Well,
Yeah,
you
We
but
don't even
you
ask
have to
can't
do
them.
that.
because you're banned. You can't because you're banned.
No, let's
Exactly,
say
but
we ask.
you don't even have to do that. I'm not saying that this confirms it. I'm just saying that a lot of theories are out there about the Berry Brigade, and some people don't even think it exists. But if you look at Mitch's situation from his banning in the last few days, he got banned for writing an article of how Dig could use 3 steps to get rid of the
Yeah,
Berry
but
Brigade.
Aaron,
So
there's similarities
Allegedly.
to the way that genocide and MichDe went out. There are very strong similarities, and it's very much the way. And now, as far as going from getting your stories to pop at 100, and then all of a sudden they're popping at 120, and then 160, that's on. To me, that's how you promote them. Because I help people, and they still pop at 60 and 80. But if they start pushing stuff at the end, it's going to raise their threshold, and that's what happens. I mean, I didn't know that, and I was raising my threshold till finally I was up there where Panda and Talsachi are, and you know, I was having to get 200 over 150. Nothing underneath that would pop, and I was getting 200, 225. Victor, you're right there. JD, you're right there. You got to get an enormous amount of digs to get something to go. And as
Interesting
far as the
thing that you mentioned that today. I actually had one pop at 37, which is unheard of for me.
yeah, that's really weird.
Wait.
Well,
But
there,
37 in
there,
5
but that
minutes?
being said, wait a minute. That being said, as far as there being Bury brigades, I think there's two different types. I think there's one particular one that goes after who they're asked and told to go after, and then there's another one that goes after particular sites. And
I,
I know people that are in them. So
do you
yeah,
think it's
they
do you
claim to
think it
be.
was the
Yeah,
do you
what
think
kind
it
of
was the
websites?
site? Wait, hold on.
I
Do you
know.
think it's the
I
site
know
or
I was banned. I know I was banned because I was told on. I know it.
but Pat, my question to you is: do you think Mitch got banned due to the fact of where he submitted his write up, or do you think it's based on the content of
No,
his write up?
I think someone convinced Dig that he was a banned user and he came back.
Okay. I mean, is that the case? Can you just write Dig and say, "Hey, this person was banned," and well, I mean, how can they prove it if the IP address is different? How can they prove it?
I'll
Anybody
answer
have an
that.
answer for that?
I'll
No,
answer
Okay.
that.
they can't.
Well, I mean,
I
it's
don't know because I had a whole different. They must. I submitted different stories. I submitted, and I mean Mitch and Kareem aren't returning diggers. So I mean I've this is my third time that I got banned, and I used different IPs each time, and I I submitted totally different stuff, and finally, people find out who you are. That's why I'm not getting back on Dig. It's just not worth it. I mean, they're
Well,
gonna, they're gonna find out. Someone's gonna say, "Hey, that's Patrick Priest. He used to be these people," and then, oh, okay, and they ban him.
well, I mean, I see your point, but like T. Chad said in the audience, he said, they don't have to give you a reason, but then they can just go around banning anyone. Is that the case? Like, why can they
No,
just go
no,
about?
no.
In a way, they've been
Why?
doing that for a while, though.
See, the
Well,
first
yeah, because
one,
they're
my
giving
first
out generic
account,
emails.
my first account was Cracker Pat that got banned for using scripts. I admit it. I used them. Um, and then my second account, Brokeback Casket, I was banned for being a band digger coming back. And once you leave, once you're banned, you're not allowed to come back. The decision is final and irreversible. And then when it was genocide, I was just told on. They said, "Yeah, you know what? He's genocide," and that's where it
But they
went.
gave you a reason, or is this
Yeah,
just
I
what?
was a band digger trying to circumvent um, the TOS by coming back after being banned. Pretty much in those words.
I
I mean, I can dig up the email. I got it somewhere.
I do
Well, I
have.
mean, it just seems as sorry, it just seems as though now it's going to more generic emails instead of
Oh, it's
why.
always been generic. It's always been generic for the most part. I mean,
Okay,
I've had conversations where it's not generic with Dig Support, and I do believe, and I don't blame Dig Support for banning me any one of the 3 times that they did. Actually, 4. But um, it they
Now that I
didn't
think
do
about a
something. I broke the
five,
rules, and
he had it counted
they,
4 times on his fingers. Go ahead.
well, no, and you gotta. I mean, I understand it, and I'm not mad at them about it. And Dick Support's always been there for me in the sense that where I could ask them a question, and aside from getting banned, they're not too eager to talk too much about that. And they even when they do say something, they're not going to write you back.
if they are eager to
You know,
talk about it, we do have confirmation, high confidence level based upon IP checking that currently there are members from of Digg.com, the company, so to speak, that IPs from their address are here in the chat room and watching the show. If you know, come on. We'll happily take you on as a guest. Just you can IM me, hit me up on Skype at jd.rucker, my Skype, and we would be happy to have you guys on. Like I said, we see you there. We know
Or,
you're there.
or social aid.
Mitch, you're in here. Mitch, say something. Don't type it in there. Ask them.
Well, wait, let's get him on. Let's try to get him on first, and then once we got him cornered, on the phone, then we can get Mitch and Kareem and Patrick to ask them questions. So it's open. Come on in. We got about 10 minutes left. So you got 10 minutes to state your case and discuss the Barrier Brigade, discuss these 3 amazing and highly prolific diggers and their bannings, and why theoretically, at least technically, according to them, you are not returning emails and addressing their concerns, or even stating why they were banned in some cases, specifically. I have the utmost respect personally for the community managers. They have the hardest job at Dig, in my opinion. Much more difficult than trying to work the algorithm or run the company or run the financials or anything like that. The community managers have to walk a thin line between keeping it fun, keeping it fair. People are trying to game Dig by the thousands, if not tens of thousands, every single day. So I don't envy your job, and I have the utmost respect for it. With that said, there seems to have been a very drastic change over the last year and a half in the way that you respond, the iron fist. And don't get me wrong, I totally understand why you're using the iron fist. With that said, I just think that there should be a little bit more responsiveness, and I think that in cases where someone is desperately trying to get back on Dig, surely there's got to be a way to get a second chance, or a sixth chance, or however many chances are needed, to give it another shot. So that's my
Well,
7 cents.
pull up these stats again for me, Mitch. What were you saying about the page views that you generated?
Well, you mean with the big bar URLs?
Yeah, I mean, you figured that
Or
you
the
brought in,
page
and
views?
how many pops did you have, and in how many months?
In about 3 months, roughly 124. There's a slight error in a couple of the numbers, so it might be
Okay.
give or take 2 or 3. But if you compound all of the Digg bar views, you're looking at over 1 million page views.
Okay. Let me ask Kareem the same question. Your Supernova, when you got banned, you had well over 1,000.
Yeah.
Oh my
And how long
God.
were you on?
I was a member for 3 years.
Okay, 3
1,220.
years.
And altogether, if you put together all the stories I worked on, um, all the usernames I've probably had 2,000 stories promoted altogether.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, between Brokeback Casket and Genocide, in a span of 8 months, I had over 600 pops.
Yep.
No, over 500 and some pops. So there's a lot of page views. We've offended them to do something enough for them to ban us, because we're getting these kind of page views. You know, they ban us. We have to be making them money whether we want to or not. I mean, getting some to the front pages, that's where the money is those click ads, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong.
CPM revenue is their main financial system. They get paid for page views.
Okay. When you get
See,
on the
one
front
of the
page, you get
things,
more page views.
yeah, one of the things that I don't understand is we are striving to get more front page stories for them. We're bringing them content, yet they just ban you without saying anything. And when you do talk to them, they copy and paste the message that they sent everyone. It's like we're treated as. I know they want to treat everyone the same, but they do level the playing field by making the top users get 200 or 150 digs before hitting home page. But we spend hours every single day digging, commenting, burying, um, and just looking for stuff to do instead of doing other things. And it benefits them directly. They're making money off our free labor.
Well, I
And
mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, as Pat began it, the thing is that you guys bring a lot of traffic to various places, but not that, but just Dig itself, and for you to put the time and the effort to not only look for great content and then subbing it and then getting banned. I mean, people want reasons, and that's why we're sitting here talking about it. That's why people are wondering if there's a Berry Brigade or not, and that's why there's an up for it. And thinking that maybe Dig is going to die since a lot of power users are being buried. So I mean, it's a great point for sure.
Also, speaking of the Berry Brigade, we just had one question from the audience regarding it here. On assuming there is a Berry Brigade, what do you think are the best tactics to fight it? Is it like laying low and not submitting things for a few days? Is it digging a lot of stories?
Submitting a lot of stories, yeah.
Submitting a lot?
Oh, they get bored of it. They get bored of
Well, it's not
it.
just.
But then they pick and choose.
Well,
They know what you care about. My opinion.
I think also, and I know that was directed to the guests. I'm going to give my 2 cents in there real quick. I've given this advice to people who have been buried on a regular basis. I get this advice from someone who gets buried probably more than anyone else in the universe. Berries, and Digg has even said this themselves, berries act similarly to digs in that if you have a group of people that are burying your stories and burying all of your stories, their berries eventually over time start to lose the effect. Just as if you're digging the same person over and over and over again, your dig doesn't count as somebody who's brand new. So the same thing happens with berries. There are people on Digg that I promise you, there are users who are getting buried. Every single story gets buried 20, 30, 50 times. And they still hit the front page and they don't get their stories buried unless it needs to be buried. And that's based upon the
Mr.
fact
Benjamin.
that's
Yeah,
based upon the fact.
no, and that's definitely true, JD.
Yeah.
You know, in Dig, in a sense, has even been a little transparent. Like if you email them about a story that has been buried, they'll even let you know that, hey, we didn't notice any trend, and they might even specify why they got buried. Oh, it was buried as lame,
Right.
or oh, someone just generally buried it. And so they've been really open in terms of working with users. Users specifically who are suspicious that they may be getting buried by some type of barricade, which leads me to believe that although they may exist, that Digg is doing things to kind of remove the rug from under their feet. So essentially take the helium out of their balloon. That over time they can only be so effective because if you're trying to bury any one person or group or of people for any reason, over time the algorithm will notice that, hey, these 3 users are burying this user consistently. They buried 4 or 5 stories in a row for this one specific user. Any buries after that will have a diminished impact in the sense that they may as well not even be burying them. So you're definitely totally right. But one thing Panda mentioned that I've always been a proponent of in terms of Digg transparency has been in the same way you can see who dug what. Why not just let us look and see who buried what? I mean, I know that it sounds simple.
I would love that.
I would love it too, but here's the thing. I've thought about this issue for a while. I've been back and forth with many good friends as to why that's a good thing, why that's a bad thing. And essentially what it comes down to is that if Digg were to make that data a little more transparent and let people know who buried what, it would do a couple things. One, it would make people more accountable. Like, hey, you buried this story. Why did you bury it? You know, I mean, like, it would make people stand behind their decision in a more visual, physical way, which is great. But one thing it does do is it will give gamers data that they could then use, to their advantage in integrating their approach towards gaming Digg. And so that because Digg sees that and sees that, okay, it'd be great to be transparent, but they won't do it just to protect their formula, to protect the secret sauce. That data, in effect, would give people who are already trying to game Digg another edge or another step up in that process. And so, from that perspective,
that's true. But then also, it would give legitimate users feedback on why things are getting buried. So, okay, the story gets 5 berries for being a dupe. Then they go and look out and see, oh, whoops, I duped it, my bad, and they can correct it.
Well, then they would have to change. They would have to change.
Like I said, if you email Digg, they'll already talk to you about reasons why your stuff is buried. They're already very open.
However, I mean, yes,
dialogue.
they will reply, but just to play devil's advocate, I mean, how do you know that that's true anyway?
You don't. That's the thing, is you don't. You have to trust Digg in the sense that, hey,
I'm sure
we looked at our stats.
But I'm just...
You know what I mean?
Guys, this is
a lot of faith in Digg because the information's not verifiable on our part. I mean, I may put more faith in Digg than, let's say, most users on the service.
Hey.
But at the same time, I totally agree. Like, I would love to have that data be transparent. Like, if we had a who dug button and a who buried button, I would more than welcome that.
Based upon the quality of the content, and I want to get the feedback from people in the audience. I think that this is a topic that should be discussed, not just from the show's perspective, but also just for the sake that it needs to be discussed. So we're going to continue this one. This is going to be a slightly different after show. We're actually going to record this after show tonight. Kareem and Mitch, thank you guys for being on, and you're definitely welcome to stay. Not just welcome, I would definitely encourage you to stay for the after show as we bring on some guests to discuss this further. I'd like to thank our sponsor, hothardware.com. Again, best reviews when it comes to tech. Dave Altavilla, just to put this in quick perspective, Dave Altavilla from hothardware.com got on there. And after last show, I had some technical difficulties, and I was throwing a fit and hitting walls, and Dave calmed me down and said, hey, brother, let me walk you through. Let me find your computer. And he helped me build a computer that is going to make this show run on rails. I mean, it's going to be sliding across like a greasy pig, and I'm not even going to go where it's going to go. But it's going to be an amazing, awesome computer, and that's thanks to hothardware.com. I asked him to buy it for me, and that he would not do. But that offer is still on the table if you want to do that, Dave. I'd like to thank our guests, and I'd like to thank our viewers, and then Aaron.
Yes,
please.
we wanted to take a moment to just give some thoughts and positive energy and our condolences to our very loyal friend, EMFK, also known as Leela, who has lost relatives in the Samoa earthquake, which created a tsunami this past week. We support you, and we're here for you. For all those who are interested in helping, please do. The Red Cross is taking donations to help the victims in the South Pacific. Urgo, I think you wanted to say something as well?
Yeah, we just, in addition to EMFK, one of our viewers also was actually in Samoa just 2 weeks ago, had just moved there and was lucky enough to decide that it was time to move out. So, Outcast, James, acknowledging you also.
Excellent. Yes, definitely, Leela. You and your family are in my prayers, and that wraps it up. Don't forget, every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 in Newfoundland, and some other time everywhere else around the world. You can find us right here at socialblade.com/show. We are Social Blade.